Sorry, our last meeting was running late. Okay, let's see. Shannon. Looks like maybe we're just waiting on Katrina. I'm just going to give us another minute here, and Anne. There's an otter trying to get into the room.
Not again.
Jeremy's note taker.
Before we get started, this is related to the last meeting, regarding the question about stuff for deletion. I found in my notes the two policies that we brought to school committee for deletion, so I can just make the edit in the notes for June 12th, but I'll share it with the group too when we talk about it.
Thank you.
Well, it looks like we have everybody here that we need to have here. So I am going to call this meeting to order at, let's say, 7:05. Looking through the list of folks that are here, I don't see any public hearings. If there is any public, please make yourself known. All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the next piece, which is, well, first off, welcome back. I know we've seen each other. Many of us have seen each other a few times this summer. It's been a pretty busy summer, but at the same time, welcome back to another school year. We are supposed to start off here by a review of the agenda and the perpetual calendar. I trust that we've all kind of looked at the agenda. In terms of September, the things that we have in our list, budget, we're going to begin to review the capital planning needs by principal, staff, and the school committee. It looks like on this list, at least, there's an all boards meeting town report, which I'm not sure about. Maybe Susie, somebody can say if that's something that needs to happen right about now. The Shutesbury Elementary School open house. It's principal in school. The superintendent's supposed to be setting their annual goals. School council elections, and I guess school goals would be something that Amherst Regional is working on as well. Yeah. So, and I have down here in my notes from last year, superintendent announces evaluation under the Union 28 piece, but I think that's really just the same, setting your annual goals. So that's what I have here. Is there an all boards meeting coming up at any point? I know nothing about this.
Nope, not scheduled.
Okay, thank you. So we'll let that one ride. All right. So moving on, gifts and grants, warrants.
Hi, so I have a bunch of warrants because it dates back to our last meeting in June. For accounts payable, I have 2 from FY25, 3026 from June 24th for $23,122.41, and 3027 from June 30th for $38,526.09. And then a bunch going from July to up to where we are now. 3001 from July 1st for $11,682.23. 3002 from July 22nd for $8,757.44. 3003 from August 5th for $37,633.55. 3004 from August 19th for $7,809.96. 3005 from September 2nd for $14,539.58. 3006 from September 16th for $19,888.71. 3007 from September 30th for $59,252.10. And then 3008 also from September 30th for $800. Those are all of the AP warrants. For payroll, we have one from FY25. That was payroll 326 from June 23rd for $91,892.90. And then starting FY26, 301 from July 7th for $81,148.47. 302 from July 21st for $76,619.01. 303 from August 4th for $79,727.01. 304 from August 18th for $78,037.66. 304.1 for August 21st for $1,440. 305 from September 1st for $89,460.81. And 306 from September 15th for $89,607.72. That's the longest list I'll give you all year, because usually it'll just be 2 AP, 2 payroll, but since we're catching up since June, that's a long list. And I do have a grant for you to vote to accept, if you would like. The Rural Education Achievement Program, or REAP. This is a federal award. We were emailed our award letter for REAP's Small Rural School Achievement SRSA program grant funding a week ago. Our award this year is for $18,073, an increase from our award last year of $15,932. We'd only budgeted for $16,397. It's a nice increase over what we had budgeted, so that does give us a little bit of more wiggle room in our operating budget. So if you would like to vote to accept the REAP grant for $18,073, that would be
So
great.
moved.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
All right, all in favor? My UI.
Catalano, I.
Heard I.
Jack, I.
Longo, bye.
Passes unanimously. That was a lot of numbers.
I just want to say how much better this committee has gotten at the whole I thing with the last name. It was smooth. Well done.
Don't jinx us.
I always, now that you've said that, it won't happen again for the rest of the meeting. I just also,
Flawless. I was like, wow, we really got this going on now.
I wish that we could just follow a list, but I assume that maybe all of our lists and placements of people are not the same, so it becomes a little bit difficult. All right, so we're moving on to the approval of the minutes. We have 2 approval of minutes, and in the interest of full disclosure, both of these were made up after the fact by me and my friend AI. So I hope that people at least looked through them and made sure that there wasn't any glaring things that were missing. I did look over both videos and put it through AI just to try to make sure that I knew who first, seconded, and all the rest of it. But you know, it's not our normal professional job. So
I move to approve the, do I need to do them separately or can I do them
I
together?
think we can do them together.
To approve the minutes from June 12th and July, was it 29th?
29th, yep.
29th, 2025.
Second.
All right, all in favor? My UI.
Catalano, I.
Heard I.
Jack, I.
Longo, bye.
Damn. All right, nice job, guys. Passes unanimously. Unfinished business and updates. Capital. It's become my favorite new part of this. These agendas. Capital projects, building process update, tank maintenance.
Weren't we supposed to have discussion?
Oh, were we? I'm sorry. Approval minutes. We just voted on it.
I know we just
Did you have something to? Okay, we can go back. Are there things? Oh, because you need to add something into the.
Well, yeah, the stuff
Okay.
for deletion, I was just gonna clarify, but I can just
Okay.
update it in the notes. I just want to let people know we voted to delete, we voted to delete IHAMR and KCB at the June meeting. So I'll just make that update.
Was
Sorry.
that, and that wasn't, was that not in the minutes? I thought I had captured that.
It's the wrong
The wrong
policy.
one? Okay.
Yeah, and it's
Oh.
only
Okay.
one. Yeah,
What
so
was
I'll
the-
make
what was
that.
what were the letters on that, Leah? Because IHAMR is on our first read later in the agenda.
I have that we were voting IHAM1, sorry, not
Okay.
R.
Okay, so
Sorry.
we have that later on because we didn't have those notes, so Robin has it added, so we can just, she has it on this agenda.
Thank you guys for catching that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
This is super minor. I didn't see this when I first opened it, but I was at the June meeting and it says I was not at the June meeting.
Okay.
Can I add my name in?
Yes, you can totally add your name in. Please do.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That was definitely going off of the AI, I think.
I'm so offended now.
I also had to change a lot of people's last names through that too. It actually only had people's first names. That was the other thing. So I had to go through and there were some funny pieces in there that I had to fix up.
Yeah, no
Honestly, the hardest part was just going back through because it doesn't record who's speaking. So you have to figure out who was seconding something and who was moving and all of that. So I don't know in the end if it was easier or not. So if anyone else notices anything, we can go back and fix it. I'm sorry for rushing the vote. Can I move on to unfinished business at this point? No. Still looking. Okay.
I think you're good to move on, Jeremy.
Okay. So the unfinished business updates talking about capital projects, building process update, tank maintenance. Do you want to take the lead on that, Nate?
Sure. We were supposed to have a capital planning meeting at the beginning of September, but technical difficulties ensued and we didn't have that meeting. But we do have some money. Thank you all for responding. There is about 25,000, 24 something dollars that is already allotted to us for sidewalk and driveway maintenance. So I've called out to see about. I did go to the buildings committee this summer and talk to them a little bit about the driveway project, and they suggested first step to contact a landscape architect and to try to find somebody locally. So I've reached out to some folks in Northampton, and there's the one in there's the school in Conway. So I haven't heard back from anybody, but that's kind of the next step. I do think that the tank issue is part of that picture, and knowing that oil tank is maybe at the last end of its life. I think it was put in the late 80s or early 90s, and it's about 30 some odd year, 35, 40-year-old, or the lifespan of the tank is about 40 years, and we're reaching that. So we will probably have to discuss what to do regardless of the water in the tank, and we can figure out what to do with the tank and the driveway and all that at some point in the future, hopefully. But other than that, we did, seems like Frank is doing a great job looking into this water issue, and maybe Ann has more to speak on that. I saw an email today of a little confusion with a bill that was sent to us that was supposed to go to Sunderland, but it went to us, and there's a little confusion about that. So yeah, it's, moving along. And do you want to add anything?
Sure. I mean, it was definitely a summer of learning, and people know that we've now hopefully made it so the cone is not going to be on top of the building much longer, that the deal that has been worked out with Frank and the company that's going to come clean out the tank and test it and then make sure all the water does not go back into the tank. Also said they were going to throw in a cap to go on top of that. So it'll be a little bit fancier. But now without that water coming in, there isn't the huge, the huge rush at this point that we have to do anything else beyond that. It's just like a futuristic idea to have the oil tank that's closer to the building, and have that for a future plan. So yeah, I'm pretty excited because I feel like now that we know sort of what's been going on, that we're going to be able to avoid that, and we should just have a regular, knock on wood, year with the oil tank. So I don't know, I doubt that if people didn't stay tuned all summer, the valves that were getting clogged by the water coming into the tank, that shouldn't be an issue anymore, because once they do the final clean out of the tank, there's no more water in the tank. The valves that all the oil passes through should be clear, and we shouldn't have that issue, because everything else in that system is relatively new and works really well. So we're glad to get this under control before heating season is upon us.
Who knew? All we needed was a Home Depot bucket, and it was all set.
Listen, and the nerves of steel on Frank climbing up there to fix that, just so. I mean, you should drive by. It's definitely a thing. So,
Leah, do you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, it was related to Anne's update on the tank. It sounds like it's all resolved. One of my neighbors brought up how there was a ton of water in the tank. Um, there was like a lot of water in the tank, or I thought it was just like a little bit. But however much water there was, it sounds like with this next cleaning, it will be resolved and cleared out.
it was like this much water, which is a lot of water, but it's also not it's not like they can't fix this. This is something that's really solvable, because once they pump that out, and the big thing was having the environmental people come in to really double check and make sure that nothing bad is coming out of it and going into it. So it was actually a relief to find out it was coming in. The problem was in the house, that it was coming into the system from rainwater, and it wasn't coming in any other way. So yeah, once that's all treated and they go through the tank and get that cleaned out, what they said they could do is they actually can clean the oil that's there and see if it's okay, and then if it's okay, they can still use it. So we purposely didn't get another oil delivery, so we don't have as much oil as we normally might at this time of year.
Yeah, what I read was it was like about 3 inches of water across the whole tank, and then there's another layer of sort of solution, which is what they have to do. I forget what it's called, but the process that they'll do to kind of separate that and haul off the contaminated water as opposed to just kind of pouring it out. So
right. The sludge will be taken care of. Yes.
Yeah. Susie.
And are you saying, when you're saying the company, is that the roofing company? Are they taking responsibility?
No, but Frank is involved with them as well. Stay tuned for that drama as that unfolds. But yeah, that's a tale to be told soon. I think Frank was working with them as well. That's been a little tricky, but the company that we're talking about doing the clean out of the tank is a different company. It was the name of it is escaping me, but yeah,
we had three companies look at it, right? Like we had Jamrog and 2 other companies, I think, look at it.
You might have had 4. Yeah, there was a lot.
And do we know how much it costs for that service?
Yeah,
6,500.
And just one more question. So Jamrog wasn't the company that realized the cap needed to be replaced, right? Like it was.
Frank McGinnis realized it. Frank really liked the shape of the mushroom that was on the cap that was supposed to keep the rain out. And then he said, "Hey guys, where's the cap that was supposed to be there after they had the roof?" So then it unraveled the whole story of, oh my gosh, that's how the water has been getting in. So yeah, it wasn't the roofing company that discovered it. It was Frank and his love for cool caps. So
And and Jamrock charged us a lot of money for this particular thing, right?
That
And
is
none of it really did anything. I
not at
mean,
all.
I don't know,
You're
but
right. It highlighted a huge problem, and then luckily you have a principal that knows your building better than I know my own house, and I was so obsessed with figuring this out because I couldn't sleep. I'm like, we are not going to blow a budget or cannibalize our budget because of something that's going on in a boiler tank, which of being in an administration for 10 years, I've never had to deal with an oil
yeah.
tank. So, but everything else is so great. It's worth it, you know?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So we'll figure out when we'll get a real cap there at some point and who's responsible for that. But we're going to move forward with fixing with getting the tank sorted out so that this year we don't have the nozzle issues and that we just clean up the mess from last year and we start fresh and new. Okay. Any other questions or discussion around capital projects in the building?
I have a quick one. Nate, did the tractor come up by any chance?
It has, but like I said, we haven't had that meeting. We're supposed to have that meeting in early September, and it's going to be early October. So I'm going to bring it up to them, and we're going to talk about it, and that's going to be part of. I don't know if we can use the 24,000, from the sidewalk maintenance to throw towards a tractor too. I mean, that's
Usually.
maintaining this sidewalks.
Yeah, and isn't the $25,000, is that earmarked for the engineer or is it earmarked for maintenance?
That is earmarked for sidewalk. It just says sidewalk repair and maintenance, I think. Or was that Jeremy? I think Susie was going to say something too.
Yeah. Susie?
Yeah, I don't know, don't remember the thread of this, but I don't think it was for engineering. I think it was part of a project that was done when the gutters were causing the great big sidewalk problem.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we got a list from the town of projects. They were like, well, what's the deal with this? Which ones of these are completed and which ones aren't? And that's kind of what we've been going off of, which begs a question of why the town side isn't checking off things when they're done and we're spending the money. But whatever.
I like that we gave it, our report back was that everything came under budget. Every project that we had completed was under budget. So that's, thumbs up to that.
And there's some money going back to the town out of those accounts, hopefully.
Yeah.
The other thing, Susie, just as the finance committee kind of person here, like we did have the doc when we had to come up with the money in the middle of the summer to pay Jamrog for the bills that they saddled us with at the end of the budget year. We were able to find ways to kind of fund that out of our budget because we realized that we had gone, before you guys twice. And we feel, but like there was a real sense that like we're going to take this on and we're going to find a way to make this work within the money. But two things that I just want to keep in mind going forward into this year is that the elementary school did not have any technology upgrades last year because we had to use that money at the end of the year to pay Jamrog. Oh. And then these little excesses that we would have been able to kind of transfer elsewhere, we had to do other games with in order to pay for the Jamrog bills again. So we've taken that on, and hopefully this last thing here, this thing with the tank is the last piece, but that's a lot of money going to what is really a building issue and not a budget or school issue. So I just kind of want to let you know that so you can kind of carry that back as well to the finance committee, that we really appreciate you guys going to bat for us last year. And that unfortunately the money we ended up short on was maybe twice what we came to you asking for in the end. So we know the town is facing some financial difficulties and we're trying to do our part to keep it together. But in the future, these are really building issues and we need to figure out how to make that a thing with the building committee or whatever. Anna, yes.
So it's my understanding that this cap got removed when the roof got replaced.
That's unclear. That's unclear at the moment.
Okay. We just know that it disappeared sometime.
between before and after the roof was done. Yeah, we're not really, there's some theories on that, and I guess that's still being dug into a little bit.
So if it seems like the roofers removed it and didn't replace it, can we get any money from them, or is that just kind of like,
May have also been, as I understand, it may have also been too late that we discovered it.
That's what
Ah.
I heard. That's what they said at the building committee meeting
That
this
there's
summer.
a certain amount of time you have to find their malfeasance, and if you didn't find
Yeah.
it, they're not responsible for it.
That's what they said.
But that won't
Which
happen
stinks that-
again ever.
Yeah,
so.
it stinks in a situation like this because event staff like that, it's not like it's like, if that was going down into your water heater, if that was going down into a million other things, you would know about it because it'd be putting out your pilot light or whatever. This one was putting inches of water into our tank, which we knew it was getting there, but we had no idea how. Like I never would have been, I don't know a lot about oil tanks, but if you told me that there was a vent coming out of that up through the roof of the school, I'd be like, that's crazy. Why would you do that? So yeah, we have to wait and see on that. And there is some question about whether it disappeared prior to the roofers being there.
Or
So,
if it was wind. I don't
Yeah.
think it was wind.
no. I don't understand how something like a cap, like having worked in the trades for a long time, I've very rarely had caps disappear off of anything. That's not really a thing that happens very often. So who knows? Whatever. Moving on to new business and discussion. So one piece of new business that I wanted to bring up was Susie had sent out a email to us, which I forwarded on to you all today. I think I actually got around to it. But about the town birthday celebration up at the town common that we have for people who are like ending in 5s or 10s. Is that what it is? I think, right?
Well, it's really
Sure.
for everybody, but the
Okay.
initial idea started around people that were turning a decade.
Okay, that's what it
70,
was.
60, 50, 40.
But about whether we wanted to have some, some sort of document, some sort of something for people up there, kind of, expressing what we do with what's going on at the school, something along those lines. And so that's one piece of new business that we want to talk about tonight. Does anybody else have other business that they would like to add in here? All right, so I leave that on the table to discuss this. I think my immediate thoughts were similar to town meeting. A nice little document that just kind of talks about the school and some of the highlights of this kind of past year for people to kind of pick up and know, especially people who aren't necessarily involved in the school, but just sort of a little brag sheet of sorts would be really kind of cool. I don't know who would take the lead on that, but Susie, go ahead.
And there was one presented at annual town meeting, and a lot of people never come to annual town meeting. So I think you can just roll that out again. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already done.
All right.
It has pictures. Good call, Susie.
Perfect. That was the easiest piece of new business ever. So we just need somebody to bring it up. We have to have it up there. I'm happy to take care of that. I'm sure one of us on the committee can take care of that. So, and let me know where I can grab them, and I'll grab them. And we'll get them there. All right. Okay. So that's new business and discussion. We go on to reports, and Shannon is first.
All righty. Welcome back, everybody. So some SES updates. Started school on August 25th. Shutesbury Elementary staff participated in opening day activities alongside colleagues from all the other Union 28 districts at Irving Elementary. The day began with opening remarks, an overview of district-wide focus areas for the coming school year, and several required beginning of the year training sessions. Just 2 days later, on August 27th, students were welcomed back to the classroom and building that were both inviting and ready for a great year ahead. The building looked great. The classrooms looked great. It was a great opening. DESE has released students' performance data and district accountability information. We're diving into that data to develop plans to build on our strengths, of which there are many, and address areas for growth. Principal Ann will be sharing a presentation at the October meeting, just sort of giving a state of this is how we performed this year. That we can't be more direct because that data is still embargoed right now. So we will be looking to present that in October. Some Union 28 updates. We had the joint supervisory committee meeting earlier this week on Monday. and the JSC Budget and Personnel Committee met prior to that. As is law, the superintendent's evaluation in this union is done by the JSC, and so that was presented in public. Thank you all for your thoughtful feedback, and I will be presenting my goals at the next meeting. I will say, and I didn't say this earlier, as I've been thinking more about it, the superintendent's timeline, there was a lot of discussion during the JSC about it's a little cumbersome, it wasn't smooth, and I think because we have our JSC doing it, which I'm fine with, but they only meet 6 times a year, so it doesn't lend itself to the DESI calendar because we have half as many meetings. So I was chatting about that with my mentor, and I am going to bring up to the JSC, they can choose to do a 2-year evaluation cycle, which might work better for them as members. It doesn't really matter to me, but that would give you the same 12 months for an evaluation system that a committee who met every month was getting. So that's something I'll bring up when I share my goals about what that might look like. And it really doesn't matter to me. It will be something for the committee to decide if that works better for their timelines. As we prepare, because we had the Budget and Personnel Committee meeting before then, as we prepare for what we expect to be a challenging fiscal year on all levels, we are committed to working proactively and collaboratively with all of our communities to continue providing high quality education and support for all students. We are very happy to say that the entire Union 28 leadership team returned intact this year. Over the summer, the team worked really hard and diligently to plan for the year ahead and to identify opportunities to more effectively and efficiently leverage our collective resources. So that was really great. There was a lot of hiring to be done last year, and to have them all return, 3 of 4 principals, a director of pupil services. Robin is new to the role. So there were a lot of moving pieces. And so it feels a lot calmer heading into the second year. Amy Langdon, the Director of Student Support, and I attended the Connecticut Valley Superintendent's Roundtable on September 5th. During the event, we had the opportunity to hear directly from Massachusetts Secretary of Education, Patrick Tutwiler, and the newly appointed DESI Commissioner, Pedro Martinez, not the Pedro Martinez of
that gets me so excited every time.
I know. It's false advertising. They shared their vision for public education in the Commonwealth, as well as addressed the potential impacts of an increasingly volatile educational budget on the federal level. Commissioner Martinez will visit Swift River School on October 3rd as part of his tour through Western Massachusetts. We look forward to sharing with him the unique opportunities and challenges that are posed by rural education. And some other updates on August 25th, and you've probably seen this in the news, the Trump administration reversed its freeze and agreed to restore federal funding that supports teacher prep programs, services for English language learners, and mental health services for low-income communities. The funding freeze was challenged by a multi-state lawsuit that did include Massachusetts and 21 other states. The Massachusetts cuts were estimated to be $320 million. And so we're glad to see that. We don't know the crux of their suit was that funding had already been approved through Congress, and so that he could not hold it. So that leads a lot of questions about what does it look like next year. So, we'll have to wait and see. MASC and MASS are holding their joint conference in Hyannis on November 12th through the 14th. And that is all I have tonight. Any questions?
All right. Thank you, Shannon. Next up is Caitlin.
Okay, so I'm mixing my agenda item, my little items up a little bit. So I'm going to start with the FY25 closeout. So over the summer, we worked with the town to close out FY25. In the end, we only used the remaining $9,762 in circuit breaker, and only $2,312.66 in school choice to cover our deficit. So we really kind of whittled that down. Last year was exceptionally hard with the contract that didn't meet our budget and with all of the obstacles with the fixes to the boiler. So we are really happy that that was the only amount that we needed to cover the deficit. It was like last year, we were kind of swimming or running with drag, and we had so many budget obstacles. And so this year it feels so much better. Just our budget meets our needs for the contract, and hopefully there's not $40,000 worth of fixes. And what I'd like to do is show you kind of our budget for this year as we stand right now. And this is what I'd like to do. And give me a moment to see if I can. Oh, it says sharing is not turned on.
I'll see what I can do. Give me a second.
Okay.
Just one participant can share at a time. I'm going to say multiple. Does that do anything?
No, let's see. I mean, I still have my old last name on my Zoom right now, so I know that
Is that a thing?
it's not my friend tonight.
Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Great. So this is what I'd like to do for every month during my report. It's going to show you what the budget looks like with our manual encumbrances. So the expenditure reports you get can sometimes be a little bit not user friendly, but this is going to give you kind of a better perspective of what we kind of do in the background and where we're looking. So the manual encumbrance column, F, that is where if we know that we're going to have to spend something, so let's say line 6, legal counsel, we're going to have to spend every month for the legal counsel. So I'm manually encumbering that. For things that have zeros, especially these grayed out areas, those are for payroll where we won't have to, everything's already been encumbered. So in this line, principal salary, it's all encumbered. There's no more that isn't in that remaining balance. And some of them, because we have some shared positions where it doesn't come out of the Shutesbury payroll, it actually comes out of Swift River payroll, who's our fiscal agent, and then it gets reimbursed through Shutesbury. Those I've manually encumbered for our MLL teacher and our PT. Substitute salary, we know that we're going to have to expend the substitute salary. It's not just a piece of, a line that's not going to get untouched. We will have the need for substitutes. Cold, flu, COVID season's going to hit. So I've manually encumbered this through this spreadsheet. The supplies, the field trips, I don't know what's going to happen. I leave those blank so that it is, we're not going to overrun those lines, but I don't know how much is going to be there. So it's kind of in September, not a great idea to make a projection of what those are going to be. For doctors' contracted services, we pay that in June. I know we're going to pay it, so it's manually encumbered. Then after this line are the Union 28 lines. And this is where it really comes in handy because I'm able to manually encumber what salaries are coming out that we can't do in the system. So that means that right now there's $144,200 or $25.41 if all spending shut down for supplies, materials, custodial supplies, all of those things. And we try to encumber as much as we can, but there's always going to be things that come up, things need to be fixed, stuff like that. Some of the lines, so like line 13, teacher salaries, we're waiting for $12,000 to move to rural aid. So that line is under right now by $11,129. That's because when we receive rural aid, our plan is to move that portion of a salary into rural aid, and that will release that $12,000 from the operating budget. Same thing for line 14, teacher special regular education. 16,000 should move to Title I. So that's why that line is under right now, is because that salary amount will move to Title I. And also for instructional assistants, 40,000 will be budgeted to come from rural aid. But you'll notice that as of right now, we are only $6,901 in it under that line. So 40,000 will really put that line over. This is a great place to start the year. We have some room if there's additional special education or student needs that come up that will require more money. We're going into this year in a much better way than we were going into last year. This is good news, and unless we get, I mean, we could always get another 40,000 in Jamrock bills. Who knows? For something else.
No, no, that's not going in the universe. No.
But from a September perspective, we're in good shape. Okay. We're in a very healthy place with our budget that meets the contract and meets the needs of the students right now.
Great.
That's amazing. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you.
It's a powerful
Anna?
spreadsheet. Encumber.
So I've been going over a lot of budgets recently because the regional school committee is like always in a fight.
Full stop.
Yeah. And so I've been looking at like budget trends over time, and it's really confusing because the operating budget is not actually the operating budget. It's the operating budget minus certain revenues that we get from different sources. And it would really help for someone trying to look at actual trends to know what the actual full operating budget requires, and then subtract out the additional revenues that fund portions of that budget that somehow get taken out of the operating budget, because that's taking stuff out of the operating budget because it's funded from a somehow different way is really confusing when you're trying to track expenses. And I don't know if there's any solution to that. I'm just telling you that that's the way it is.
Yeah, I understand that. I think that's why I tried to, at this point in the year, we can't have salaries coming out of grants we haven't received yet. So right now they're coming out of our operating budget. And then when we receive them, we'll see them push over to grants and rural aid. And so we're a little bit of that tricky time of year
But there's no way to like have rural aid and other sources of income be more reflected in the operating budget?
No, because we budgeted for them to coming out of rural aid or Title I or IDEA. And so when we go to the town meeting and we have our operating budget ask, it's what we're looking for from the town for operating budget. And then the grants are separate from that.
And then for my personal information, sorry.
No problem.
When the state is calculating sending tuition for different schools, the portion of the money that we spend on students that is coming from rural aid and coming from other sources of income is also not counted towards additional expenditure, whatever, above foundation spending?
So when I do the end of year reports, I have to report on all spending. So operating budget and every single grant, circuit breaker, rural aid, REAP, everything. So it already needs to be sussed out of what's coming from the operating budget from the town and what's coming from grants. So that all gets released to the state.
Okay.
Whether we had budgeted the way that we do now or previously, it all needs to be organized into all of the funding sources.
Okay, thanks.
Susie.
So we've been around about this, and we had members of the FinCom get irritated. So Anna, when you read the budget that Shutesbury put out, and it has the last page with all the grants and all the categories that spending is, does that answer your questions, or you're asking for the state to make sure that the state understands those numbers?
No, it's just for me. Just for me.
Okay, so do you use that form? Do you read that report, the budget request? It's that the town put
I
out.
was taking the information from state reports. No. I was taking the information from the regional stuff. I wasn't looking specifically at Shutesbury data, so I don't know exactly how the region. It doesn't seem like, it seems like they might not be including some of the other funding in the budget book that we look at.
For the region's
Yeah,
budget,
yeah.
yeah. So I feel
Yeah.
like the town, Caitlin has made it very clear on our budget, and it's that addendum sheet, and it identifies each area that those grant monies are being spent. And like she said, until the grant money comes in, it comes out of the budget, and then it switches over to those grants. You could ask Shannon at the regional budget office if this format makes sense to her, or they have another way. But what I think was really important to me to hear was Caitlin said, at the end of the year, they roll it out in a report where everything is accounted for, including grant funded expenditures. I mean, things like in Shutesbury, our transportation is down through the region. So it's endless how it becomes tangled. But
Yeah.
I feel like Caitlin made a big effort to make it clear, and it's clear to me, but I know there are people who still object to it they're gone, they're not on our FinCom anymore, so that should be easier.
Oh, good now. Excellent. Thanks. Thanks, Caitlin.
Thanks. It'll be easier to see year over year now that we've made the transition to last year was like that. I knew that was going to be the big hurdle, is going from one format to the next. But now I think it's clear. This is our operating budget. These are our grants, and you can move forward. And it was so much easier budget, like going into this year with having this is our operating budget and these are the things, and I had to move. So if we are pretty sure that we're going to get rural aid funding and it's going to this position, we can't hold off from hiring or continuing that position until we actually receive the funding. So it's moved into the operating budget until we actually receive it. So it's been kind of great this year, looking at it's here now, it'll go there, this line, and I like the format that I'm using. But if anyone has any feedback on what those budget sheets look like, or if you prefer anything different or want to add to it, I'm happy to make adjustments, because it's still sort of new in presenting them.
Awesome, thanks.
Any other questions for Caitlin? All right, thank you, Caitlin. Next up is Anne.
Good evening.
Principal Anne.
Hello, hi everyone. Sure. So we have had an absolutely wonderful start to the year. I think Caitlin and I definitely, and Shannon, sleep a lot sounder knowing that we don't have the budget hurdles that we faced last year. But just to give you some brief updates, this summer I was able to attend the Massachusetts Literacy Conference. That conference included representatives from the state, from DESE, and from educators around the state in various capacities. When Shannon was my partner in crime there as well, to build a shared commitment to literacy. It truly matters to have everyone working together to support literacy as legacy work. The conference that we attended focused on evidence-based practices for literacy to help move the needle for our most marginalized students to learn how to read. In September, we were so fortunate to start the year off fully staffed and ready to roll. We welcomed our new preschool students. We have 3 pre-K 3 students this year, added to 17 pre-K 4 students. So we have a very robust pre-K 4 population. Not sure what that was going on a couple of years prior, but a very nice crowd of preschool students. And we have welcomed 10 kindergarten students, 17 first grade students, 15 grade 2s, 13 grade 3s, 18 grade 4 students, 11 grade 5, and 16 grade 6. Our school choice numbers went from 20, and we had 6 of our students moved on to middle school, and we are now at 14 school choice students. So just to give you an idea where those are. We have some interesting music updates. We have launched band and chorus and strings. The band and chorus is for students in grades 4 to 6, and the string lessons are for interested students in grades 2 to 6. Bravo to all the caregivers that are taking in the new instruments with our learners, because learning music is just so important. Students have an opportunity to play a wide variety of instruments, so it's wonderful when they take advantage of that. Every week, our teachers are participating in professional learning communities. They did that last year. They've done that for years and years before. And teachers are able to use that time to take a look at the curriculum and pedagogy and looking at actually analyzing student work. So that's been an incredible part of what makes Shutesbury so great. We just began to use some benchmark testing with the STAR testing for ELA and math. It is data that we'll be able to see that is based on the standards, and it goes across the entire, it's a the norm is nationally normed. We'll use this data to help ensure a continued student success at Shutesbury. The testing is pretty brief, and the students seem to enjoy getting to show what they know. The younger students were wondering if they were mini MCAS. They're not. They're just, it's a much shorter assessment. And the kids, I actually got to have a couple of students testing it in my office just because of they were absent the day that we did it, and it was they were excited to do it. The PTO has secured a Mass Cultural grant to have an Amaya performance. They're a West African drum group, and they're going to do a drum and dance residency for the month of October. All students in the whole school will be able to participate, and they're going to launch it with a performance, and they're going to end it with a performance that includes some of our students. So we'll let you know when that is scheduled to happen. Building update, we have completely gone through at another half paragraph of the boiler, but we definitely don't have to go through that. Like Jeremy was saying, we do have an upcoming open house, which coincides with the town meeting. So hopefully everyone can attend. We have picture day next week, which is always good for some fun. We have some individual pictures on Monday, and then we'll have class pictures on Thursday. And I think that, and also we've had some CPR and first aid training that just recently happened for staff. So I think that is it for me. If anybody has any questions, happy to field those.
Any questions for Anne?
And I just had one question regarding pre-K. I was talking with another neighbor, and they had mentioned something about there only being one pre-K classroom, and there might have been desire for more than one, but I hadn't really heard of that as being a thing. I hadn't heard of us having to like turn away any pre-K for classrooms. So I was wondering if, or for spots in our program. So I was wondering if you could clarify.
Sure. There's been a wait list in the past, and we don't take school choice for preschool because we want to make sure that we have staffing is right. We don't want to have, you know, have it be like an unsafe situation where we take in all too many students. So what we do is we have some students come multiple days a week, some come 5 days a week, but it just depends on the needs of the students. But we I'm not sure where the wait list ended at the end of the summer. Were they saying that they had a student that was 3 that wasn't able to come in, or they just
No,
got the wait list?
their child is in the program, but they made it seem like the program was limited in a way, but they're like a Shutesbury resident, so it doesn't sound like the program would have been limited for them or for any other Shutesbury resident. It's just
No.
like school choice.
Oh yeah, we don't take school choice just because we have such a high demand, and even though our numbers for pre-K 3 it's only 3, that's offsetting with 17 other students that are in the pre-K 4 program. So our what we do is we're actually, if a student is receiving EI assistance, with the minute they turn 3, they're eligible to come, because that's they're going to be able to access the public school special education program. And if it's a student that has been typically developing, we just have them fill out the paperwork, and then we make our best guess and fill the classrooms. And that process starts. We're talking about starting a little bit, even earlier this year, to make sure everybody knows where their students will be and will know what the need is. I think a very long time ago, I've heard that they had a second classroom, but they just didn't have the numbers to make it have another full-time staff to run the classroom, because it's not like adding a second grade. That's, you're looking at a second grade teacher. When you're adding a preschool program, a lot comes with it to make sure that it has everything that it needs. But the most important thing are the adults, are the people. So highly trained people that are able to work with our preschool population. So I don't know, doubling the program, having a second room, I don't know that's that would be something that we would definitely have to plan for years in advance to make sure that we had the space and to be able to accommodate that.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions? Okay.
But that's great,
Thank
Leah.
you.
Keep listening to the neighborhoods, because it's good to know what's going on.
Anna?
Is there any interest in developing like a totally separate pre-K 3 room so that you have pre-K 3 and pre-K 4? When I was in DC, there was a pre-K 3 and a pre-K 4 fully funded program for kids. And I know that that's not how Massachusetts works, but I just was wondering if there's been talk about pre-K.
It's a great question. So I got to tell you, what I've had conversations with the teachers about that very thing. And what I've learned is, when you're talking about the developmental needs of pre-K and four, the 3s and the 4s, when they're combined, there's so many incredible things that happen, because your younger students are learning from older students, and they become so proud of being those role models and really help everybody develop and move. Because if we just did all the pre-K 3s to have, I don't know if you've hung out with a lot of 3-year-olds before, but there's a lot of language development that needs to happen. And it's hard when you're not hearing the modeling, if everybody's kind of struggling in the same boat. But in the pre-K classroom, they really provide so many opportunities to really develop their oral language. And it's because they're working together. The students are working together. And it's unbelievable how much they blossom between when they first enter as 3-year-olds, and then looking at them when they go off to kindergarten. It's like a whole different thing. It's too fast, isn't it, Nate? It's too fast. It goes too fast.
Yeah, but if you had like a full, so I know right now you have like 20 kids total, which
Right.
is a lot.
Yes.
But if you had like a full pre-K 3 and a full pre-K 4, then when they move into kindergarten, you would have a full kindergarten moving from pre-K to kindergarten. And you can still combine the classrooms with 3s and 4s, have 2 separate classrooms for 3s and 4s, but essentially fill enough to have full classes of 3s, full classes of 4s, so that when they move into kindergarten, they're just moving on up. But I don't, there's a lot of kids that are opting out of pre-K, then that maybe doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm just gonna chime in. I think that something we could look at with the numbers, but I don't think, and Ann and I were just going over the numbers. Shutesbury by itself, none of our classes are sustaining with just Shutesbury residents. That we rely on school choice to make, I don't want to say normal's not, but to make sustainable class sizes, even taking the finance piece out of it, but some of the classes would be really small. And so if we did that with pre-K, it does open up, how would we bill? What would that look like for out of district students? Because they wouldn't be covered under school choice, where if we have someone who comes to kindergarten or first grade, we bill that through school choice, and that's how they are contributing to our revenue, if that makes sense. So I don't, not that I want to shoot the idea down. I think it has merit. I think the biggest question would be, like, how many 3-year-olds do we have in Shutesbury? Are we meeting their needs? And if we brought in and did a separate class, right, but that's a separate teacher, and we incur those costs, how many out of school placements would we have to get at a tuition rate to make that sustainable? So I think that's probably been the biggest prohibitive factor in looking at that, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. But it's just like with
Especially when you have a
17,
year where there's
with
3
17 pre-K 4s, you're like, oh, that's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids, right? That's a lot of kids. And sometimes you have, like, we're in Irving, and we talked about this in their public session, they have like 5 4-year-olds that live in Irving, but they have 22 2-year-olds that are coming through Irving, that are Irving residents that they've identified. So that's really hard. Like, and I think Shutesbury probably has those same patterns, right? Irving's is just on the top of my head because we just were diving into it. Like, what do we do with a class of 5-year-olds, right? You have to get some school choice in there.
Yep. Susie?
The other thing is that there are many families that don't want their 3-year-olds in full week. And so that population is not as saturated in school as, say, 6-year-olds. So that's another factor that is for 3-year-olds.
Good point. That's a good point. And it just, if we build it, doesn't necessarily mean it will come either, because a lot of people, with the same token of not wanting their 3-year-old to come, we have people that want them to be in full-time daycare where they're getting cared for from 8 in the morning until 5 at night. So I think it's a hard thing to predict, and I would hate to see us like invest a ton of money in something that wasn't sustainable with Shutesbury residents. So, but that's an excellent question. It's definitely an interesting, it's a different classroom when you are looking at a 3-4 combined group, and when you're looking at a only 3s and only 4s.
I think that combined is a great idea, and that's what they did in DC as well, where they just had twice as many classrooms because it was twice 2 grades, essentially.
Sure. And like we were saying too, if it's a full day program and everybody's doing full day, I would hate to see that like around 2 o'clock. Those poor little guys get so tired. I mean, they just got it.
They get nap time.
I mean, I'm just talking about the teachers. I'm just talking about the teachers.
I know.
No, exactly. The kids are definitely tired. They do get a nap. I don't know how much of them actually really solidly sleep, but yeah, that's definitely interesting. Is there anything else that any other burning questions? Okay. All right, I think
we lost a fearless leader.
Oh, is it my turn?
It is.
Okay.
Ellen rep report.
So I'll go ahead with my report without Jeremy. So normally the regional school committee is able to take at least a month off in the summer, but this year we just met all summer long. So we just really never took a break. I feel like one of the last things we did in June was hear about the track and field, which is like right on budget. So, which is, and so many of the sort of like potential issues have been taken, have happened already, so that the likelihood that we need to dip into the contingency fees or the contingency allowances has reduced substantially. And so they feel like they can use that contingency allotment to fund actual projects. So we're going to add some of the alternate ideas from the original plan, and we're going to be able to do some additional drainage work and irrigation work in some of the adjacent fields, not just the brand new internal track field. We're going to be able to put some work into the stairs that go down to the field and work on the sidewalks that connect the field to the street. So that'll make it a little bit more easily ADA compliant and better for people who have additional needs to get to the fields. So that's really encouraging. That's really exciting that we're going to be able to do a little bit more with the same amount of money. So that was very exciting. I am now on the budget coordinating committee. So I get to go to additional meetings with Amherst, yay. I'm going to be on the APAA negotiating committee, which is the assistant principals union negotiations. Apparently this is the tiny union, and it's one of the easier negotiations. We're still dealing with a lot of lawsuits. I think everybody heard about Delinda Dykes' arbitration, who got reinstated. She's currently on paid administrative leave because we had to reinstate her. But there's a desire to keep her away from the students while we still figure this out. So the district is appealing the arbitration decision, and she's on paid leave pending the appeal. We got our fourth quarter budget report, and we're on target for spending, which is really exciting that we didn't have any unexpected overruns. So that's good. Some of our overruns were with like student support services were balanced with unexpected savings for things like employee health insurance and some other stuff. So that worked out. With all of this budget fighting and discussion between 4 towns in the region, the school committee commissioned a report by MARS. I don't remember what the acronym stands for. Massachusetts
Association
for Regional Schools. Yeah. So they create these fiscal reports for towns, and they seem really, really boilerplate. But we received the reports for all 4 towns in the region, and something came up and they couldn't present it to us when we got the report. So we had a short discussion about it, but they're going to come back October 2nd and actually do their presentation where we can ask some questions. So we're sort of preparing some questions for them. But that's also part of the sort of like looking at all the numbers when I was asking Shannon's or Caitlin some of the questions about budgets, because you're trying to compare these trends from different school districts and all of the different financial information and the year over year spending from even the region, and looking at how the trends work, and it's a little bit complicated. But what I did note, just FYI, is that Shutesbury spends about 62% of the town budget on education. And that is
Rest of the 4 towns.
Yeah, it's higher than most towns. At the same time, the growth in spending for education in Shutesbury is about 12% from, what is it, 2009 to now, or 2000, wait, I think it's 2009 until now. And the growth in spending for the general administration is like 44%. And so the conclusion is that spending on education is not growing as fast as sort of the general Shutesbury town overall budget is growing. So there might be some room to juggle things. So general administration has a large growth, and safety has a relatively slightly larger growth. Oh, well, it's like in the 20 some high 20% increases or something like that over the several years. Public safety. And it was interesting to sort of like compare it to other towns where Pelham like has like some very crazy growth. Like I think maybe their general budget was not as big, but their safety budget like more than doubled. And it went from lower than Shutesbury's to higher than Shutesbury's total dollar spend. So it was just like looking at different town budgets is really interesting. And it does make you question like what gets included in each category for each town, and is it the same for each town, because it's quite variable. But that's all. Any questions? Oh, one more. We have some
Thank you.
policy, sorry, we had some policy discussions where we had like a special meeting just to go over a new policy around treatment of non-discrimination against gender identity and some other stuff, just because it's becoming a thing. That's it. Susie, your hand is
Susie,
still
did
up.
you have a comment?
Yeah, that Mars report is very initial.
Yes.
It's interesting the way it doesn't have certain factors. It's also a little bit upsetting to see towns sort of begin to take positions on the information that's in those reports when they're really very not complete. Shutesbury has a PFAS cost that has expanded our general government costs. Nobody else is dealing with it yet. They might have to, but that's sort of the apples and oranges issue about looking at a report like this. I had down on my calendar that they were coming on the 25th of September, but you said October 2nd is the date. And
Is it
so,
25th? Are they coming on the 25th?
that's what I had. The reschedule was for the 25th, but I'm not, it might not be up to date. They might have moved it again. That
It
would
could
be
be,
another
that's when our next meeting is, but I thought we were gonna go over financial sustainability subcommittee report before the Mars report. So I don't.
But the other piece of this is
know.
that, so we got a report. We're busy trying to line up our FY27 start, and this is still an incredibly hard time. So, plowing through a bunch of other town numbers and our numbers is not where we're at. And AJ said we got to begin to say, what are the elements that are really in our budget? Not so much by numbers. What is the elements that Shutesbury is dealing with? And you can just come out here and see there's no luxury liners out here. So I wish there would be just a level of trust that in fact people are doing the best they can. And then we just had the health insurance debacle. And not all towns had that same hit. We went up 44% in 1 year in health insurance. It's why we're having a special town meeting. It's driving our budget. That is not in our school budget, and yet a lot of it are the school employees. So apples and oranges, getting ready for it. Some people had MIA insurance and they went up more gradually. We just went bam. So it's it's not going to be a simple numbers thing. It's got to really be sort of the intent and how we're meeting it and what the factors that each town are dealing with honestly, not sort of by number.
Thank you, Susie.
Hey, Susie, maybe you and I can have a quick conversation about the Mars report later.
Yeah. I have looked at it some, I have thought about it some, but I'm also getting ready for the FY27 proposals. Yeah, and I have time. I'd be happy to talk to you, but I'm just saying all the towns right now are getting ready. And so this work is important, but it's coming in the middle of a big flow. And you just spent your whole summer doing it. So the regional school is going to have a hard time wrestling all this down.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
But I'd be happy to talk to you, Anna.
It's always a ride.
Oh, so much fun.
So next up is our joint supervisory committee report. I had a family thing come up. I was not able to attend, but I think Nate was there and maybe Katrina.
Yeah.
So if one of you guys could report out on that, that would be great.
I can do that. I have the honor report right here, my cheat sheet that I can go
Perfect.
from. We re-elected Steve and Mandy. Steve seems like a great leader. He's very even-keeled and just runs a very smooth. His voice is smooth, like he should have a radio show or something. Put you all to sleep. It's amazing. Shannon.
I actually think the even-keeled piece is the most important of him. He is so even.
Yeah, for sure. Shannon shared a report, the rising costs of insurance. We talked about the health insurance costs going up. She also talked about securing $317,000 in PRISM grants for literacy programs. I don't know, is that the one, does Shutesbury participate in that program, the PRISM?
Shutesbury does not.
Yeah, I didn't think.
Yeah, Shutesbury does not participate. To apply, there were some certain criteria. One being that you had enough participants that shared a curriculum for English language arts. Shutesbury has a curriculum with EL that they are very vested in, trained in, very attached to, and they're getting good results in it. The other 3 schools within the union all use a different curriculum, so they applied as a consortium. And that is why Shutesbury was not a part of that. And has part of that training is that there's going to be a literacy council. We have got permission from DESE to include a Shutesbury representative on that. They'll be paid through the grant. But for the big, dollars and cents piece, that did not impact Shutesbury.
We did get included in on the Frontiers GEMS grant, GEMS. It's a Massachusetts grant that's going to be working with Smith College and utilizing their resources and combining with people that are training teachers and teachers that are in practice and looking at a deeper dive in literacy. So we're excited about that work, and it goes along with our current curriculum.
Awesome. Caitlin detailed the budget schedule, emphasizing the need to finalize the Union 28 budget after individual district budgets are reviewed. Amy Langdon highlighted the transition to the new IEP formats and inclusion practices, and Lindsay Rodriguez discussed the implementation of the STAR assessment and the benefits of the inclusion classroom. Individual schools gave updates, including facility improvements and community engagement initiatives. That's my cheat sheet.
Perfect. That was amazing. All right. CES, do we have a report from CES?
Yes, we do. We had a meeting at the end of June that I was able to attend. The executive director for CES at the time left the organization as of July 15th. So he's going back to be a principal at his local school district. And the interim executive director is the person who was the deputy director. We are doing a search committee to look for a new executive director for CES with the hopes that that person would start in January. They also voted to approve their budget for FY26. So I know I sent it to you all a little late, but I did send it over the summer, and I'll make sure to be better about sending you all the documents that come from CES as I receive them. Oh, and the next meeting is next Wednesday.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you very much. We'll try to get that added. Well, it doesn't matter to be added in this into this minutes, into this agenda, but thank you very much, Leah. All right, so CES is over. We're going into the policy review section of the night. We have a first read on IHAMR health education, which we don't have to vote on, but does anybody have anything they want to discuss about that or anything that they saw in that? All right, seeing none.
I think Anna has her
first vote for deletion of
No, wait.
IHAM1.
Jeremy.
Sorry,
Anna.
Anna. Go ahead.
Oh, you're breaking up.
My internet being laggy again.
Yeah.
Anna, go ahead.
So, I was noticing in the document, and maybe it's fine, but it goes straight from exemptions will be granted to the request must state a particular conflict involved. The principal will confer with teachers to determine the length of time a student will be exempt. I think there should be a sentence that describes the approval or the exemption granting process or something. So maybe a sentence like the principal will decide, like who makes the decision whether the exemption will be granted. Like it says, this is how you submit a request, but who decides whether that's a valid request? Like if someone just says, I don't want my kid to learn that, then, and I'm just old fashioned, I don't want you to do that. That's not really a religious exemption. And so there should be some, at least, some person who decides whether the request will be granted or not. And it's not just like any person can pull their kid if they just say they need to. But
So I can respond a little bit to
Okay.
that. I think might be helpful. Because of the new guidelines
Yes.
that came about being, right, you can
Yes.
exclude your kid from anything. Except that there is a process and our council has worked with the other councils to have a sheet. So all of the union schools will be using the same sheet and same criteria. If they fill it out and you have to be very specific. What piece do you not want them to see? It puts a lot of burden on the parent to exclude their child. They cannot just make a blanket statement. If they say, for example, I don't want my child to be in this SEL course with the counselor. Well, what piece of the curriculum do you not want them to be? It's more cumbersome. So we'll be using that. If they meet all that and fill it out and can, make a connection, then they'll be granted it, but it would be by the principal, but it's not subjective, I guess is my feedback.
Yeah, I think my suggested language would be the principal will decide whether the exemption will be granted based on the conflict specified in MGL 71.1, but we could be based on, and then these specific criteria, but it just I feel like there needs to be some statement in this policy that describes how the decision will be made.
We do provide a lot of additional information to parents, and we give the slides if parents are interested in seeing the slides, if it's a health sort of a talk, and have a lot of open conversations with people. And then if they still further want to disclude their child from it, we like, we really try to support them with,
Yeah, I just want to protect the
Right.
district to say that, you know, if we feel like the request is unreasonable, that it gives us a way of handling that. Is that, but if that's out of scope, then that's fine. I just thought that maybe an additional thing in that policy would be helpful.
Hmm.
It's fine.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I
policy
think
committee
with
can-
the new direction from at the federal level, it's taking a lot of that discretion away from the school. So I can add that language, and I can look at the form. Maybe there's some, and I was looking to see if I had it in front of me. The form has sort of a narrative at the beginning, and maybe we could add that to our policy that came from a consortium of school attorneys across the Commonwealth.
Okay.
I can do
All
that
right,
and bring it
so
back
I'm
next.
sorry. Okay. I am sorry. I don't know if everyone can hear me. My kids just got home and my internet's going all unstable. So I'm just trying to keep up with it. I've texted everyone and asked people to go down to one device a piece, please. So that we have that ready for next meeting. We move on to first vote for deletion, IHAM1, which is notification of an access to sex education curriculum and community involvement in decision, KCB. We could do a move and a second and then discuss.
I move to delete IHAM1 and KCB from our policies as part of the first vote.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? I'm scarred now by my internet. I'm like, is anybody going to jump in as I try to move this forward? All right. All in favor? Mayu, aye.
Catalano, aye.
Heard aye.
Jack, aye.
Long coat bye.
Okay. Is that everybody? Do we get everybody? All right.
Yep.
Am I frozen again? All right.
No,
So
you're good.
second read, first vote on BA school committee operational goals, BAA evaluation of the school committee operational procedures, BB school committee legal status, BBA school committee powers and duties, BBAA school committee member authority, BBA BBBB school committee member qualifications, oath of office, and BCA school committee member ethics. So that's our second read, first vote. We can move second and then discuss.
So
I
moved.
move to approve for the first vote all of the mentioned policies,
I second that.
All the B's.
all the Bs.
All right. Any discussions? Any discussion? All right. Let's vote then. All in favor? Mayu, aye.
Catalano, aye.
Heard aye.
Jack, aye.
Long coat bye.
Unanimous. Awesome. Moving on to our final votes. We've got KE, public complaints, KFR, community use of school facilities, KHA, public solicitations in the schools, AA, school district legal status, and KF, community use of school facilities. Can we get a move in a second?
So moved.
Second.
Awesome. Any discussion? I like that as we move through this, we've had the time to discuss many of these, so they're good at this point, I guess. All right, all in favor, Mayu, aye.
Catalano, aye.
Heard aye.
Jack, aye.
Long coat by.
Awesome. That is unanimous as well. We've got future business, Shutesbury Policy Committee next October 16th at 6:30. Shutesbury School Committee is October 16th at 7. There's a Budget and Personnel Committee Monday, October 20th. Union 28 Joint Supervisory. Our next one there is November 17th. And as Leah said, CES is meeting, you think you said next Thursday? Is that correct?
Next Wednesday.
Leah knows when the next CES meeting is. So we can, right on. Can we get a move to adjourn?
Can I just, one thing before you adjourn, Trevor, I
Oh,
just
sorry.
want to
Yep.
clarify for your notes, Trevor, the grant that Shutesbury is taking part of, that is, Ann was referencing, it's the Pioneer Valley Consortium grant,
Awesome.
just so we
Thank you,
get that out
Shannon.
there right. I couldn't think of the exact name of it, and I'm like, let me look it up, so I wanted to get that right, sorry.
Don't worry, GEMS is really part of it. I didn't
Thank
make
you.
that up.
No, it isn't. That's the place where we go to claim our money, but I wanted to make sure our notes reflected the name of the grant. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good. Thank you.
Shannon. All right. So with that let's have a move to adjourn if we could.
I move to adjourn.
I
Second.
second.
Awesome. All in favor. Thank you guys. I'll
Have a
see you
good night.
next.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.